I can't hear anything, Anthony.
Oh, you got to give me a second. And welcome to Let's Talk Vinyl 2-year anniversary as we celebrate 2 years of 2 years and 2 months of doing this show. I am Anthony Krzyzewicz from the Touring Fan Live, and with me, I get to once again announce one of the coolest people I know, all the way from the West Coast, winemaker extraordinaire, Pearl Jam know-it-all. I would like to introduce to you for 2 years, 24 times, happy anniversary, Mr. Trey Bush.
Happy anniversary, Anthony.
Isn't it something for sure?
I should be taking
Something for sure. I'm still trying to figure out this board. I was gonna do I had the whole applause lined up. There we go. There we go. Right, there we go. Put it in. All right, enough of that.
Laugh track and everything. You're you're the next Stern. I love it.
That's right. No, it is. We've been doing this show for 2 years. We've been actually doing over 2 years. We've been doing probably the first time I interviewed you was 3 years ago, which is wild to me. When I was on Train to Strive Live and I had that show going, and we just got to know each other, and I was like, man, it's so easy to fucking talk to this guy. Like he just really knows we just roll off each other. So 2 years of doing this, and man, I have so much to fucking fill you in for these last 2 months. Like I am so excited to fill you in on this stuff.
I can't wait to hear. I mean, I paid a little bit of attention to it on social and stuff, but I unfortunately didn't get to see any shows this last leg. So as you guys keep on asking about 2023 and where people want Pearl Jam to play or where people think Pearl Jam is playing, I sure as hell hope they're playing up here.
It's crazy to think
Climate Pledge Arena, they were responsible for getting that built.
Yeah, and it's been 4 years since Pearl Jam played up in Seattle. So and that wasn't even like a real intimate venue. That's when they did the baseball stadium show. It's crazy, but I mean, I can't imagine that next year they're going to pass up on playing a hometown show, and I'm hoping it's something special. But we'll have to play it coy and just let it all hang out. But before we get into that, let's talk about the wine we're going to drink tonight.
All right.
Let's then talk about our experiences with the last couple shows we just saw. And let's kind of get into what is next for for us, and then we'll talk about some songs. I do want to talk about this though. Timothy had messaged us just a little while ago, and he is not feeling well. He's going to do a rain check on being a guest on the show. So we're going to look at maybe towards the end of the month for either the Halloween special we're going to be doing or next month to talk about this poster. But he wanted to do it, but unfortunately, he's not feeling so well. So we hope he feels better, especially before he gets out on the road to do some, some events that he has planned up. So feel better, Timothy.
Definitely. And save me one of those variants.
Ain't that the truth? So let's talk about the bottles of wine. So 2 years in of you educating me highly on wine, I feel as though I'm getting better at things. I still can't pronounce, anything. Like I still I go into stores and I either overpay for wine or I don't know how to pronounce it. But tonight I'm drinking a 2018 Cabernet Sauvignon. Right? Is that how you say it? I'm saying it wrong, ain't I?
Cabernet. Yep.
Cabernet.
Cabernet Sauvignon, yeah.
Thank you very much. From Columbia Valley. This is
Washington State, by the way. Washington State, Columbia Valley.
That's right. And the reason I was pulled to this, which I know you're gonna hate this, Trey, was the bottle was just so damn intriguing. Like it's just such a really cool bottle.
The label sucks you in.
It sucked me in. But it's a really cool bottle. It is from Patterson, Washington, and it's by a company I can't say the name. Yeah, INTRINSIX Bottle Company.
It's called Intrinsic, and that is owned by Chateau Saint Michel.
Oh, and it's
So
interesting
it's
because
one of their many labels that they own.
have you ever had a bottle of this?
I have not,
Okay.
but I'm sure it's delicious.
And what are you drinking tonight, Trey?
I'm drinking 2019. It's called. It's a brand new wine for us. We haven't even released it yet. It's called Higher Ground, and it's named Higher Ground for a couple of reasons. One is the vineyard site, which is called Rye, located on the very top of Red Mountain in Benton City, Washington. Very hot, growing region, and really great Grenache site. Higher Ground is also the name of a song by Stevie Wonder, and the Red Hot Chili Peppers did a very famous cover of it, which you can listen to as well. It's a much, it's a much funky version. It's another funky version
Okay.
of Higher Ground. So just again another way for us to bring music back into what we're doing on the wine side of things. So,
No,
and then
that's awesome.
the labeled photograph that I took of the skyline with a bunch of beautiful clouds and stuff. So that's
Oh,
it.
damn, that's awesome. That is super awesome. I keep people are saying that we're hearing an echo from you. I don't hear it, but I know that Trey's setting up new in his studio, and he doesn't have his board up today, and this is all kind of new for him. So I don't know if that's causing it. I don't see any echoes on my side, and I hear you crystal clear, and it's coming across correctly on the board. So I apologize for anyone that's getting any kind of delay on Trey. I hear your
Yeah,
beautiful
sorry
voice.
about that.
It's soothing to my ears.
I'll sing you a song.
There you go. Do it. It's been 2 years. You've never sang for me before, but you know what? I will promise you this. I'll sing for you in a little bit.
Perfect.
You know, so I kind of want to share this experience with you because we've been doing. So I've had different shows on the Touring Fan Live, and the one most consistent show has been this one since day one. And you know, we see the numbers. I've showed them to you before. We get a lot of downloads on the podcast of this, and it's pretty significant. It's what really houses about 65 to 70% of my downloads monthly is from this show. And even the 2 months that we were off, it was still about in that ballpark range. People were going back to other episodes, and we were still doing significant numbers. You know, Pearl Jam just did their tour, wrapped up their East Coast to this small little tour over the summer, and we did something in St. Louis. We did this hoping. Oh God, I can't even think about it now. But it's Hope and Brews in the Lou, and we were raising money for the Suicide Prevention Association in St. Louis. And while we were there, you know, it's the first in-person event that was for Pearl Jam that we've ever done in the 2 years we've been doing this. And I am gonna tell you this, dude. I had quite a few people come up to me at this event and was like, hey, you know, love the show. You know, I love listening to you and Trey talk about shit. I mean, one guy's like, I've never missed an episode. And then he's like,
That was probably Tony Bounds.
no, it was not Tony Bounds. And this one guy
Okay.
took a picture, like he had his wife take a picture of us, and he's like, hey, you know, I love the show. Trey's so cool. I've gone, I can't wait to go out to this winery, all these things. And I'm like, all right. So I had it was like 5 people at the beginning. All right, this is cool. I mean, and it was a lot of people at this event. I mean, we raised almost $4,000 for the Suicide Prevention Association in St. Louis.
I saw that. Congratulations.
Oh, thanks, dude. And dude, towards the end, it was just like people come up to me like, oh, take a picture. They were buying stickers and all these things. And I was like, it was
You're fucking
weird.
famous, Anthony.
No, I'm not. You are. You're the fucking famous one. But
I'm just.
here's the thing, though. This is when I knew shit was like, I guess people really do listen to us, and this is when I really appreciate things. In Oklahoma City, I'm heading. I went with Brad. Me and Brad drove down, and that's a whole nother conversation of car rides to Oklahoma City from Kansas City, listening to Canadian music. Yeah, that's an interesting one. Yeah, just fucking. He's like, Brad just is like, I'm listening to my music. He just grabs my phone. He's like, hey, listen to this, and then next thing you know, I'm listening to inappropriate Canadian music. Um, but what was
A lot of
crazy?
Nickelback.
Oh god, yeah, no Nickelback, but it was some interesting shit that like my algorithm on my phone is totally fucked because now it's like you might want to listen to this artist, and I'm like, I don't know who this is. Anyway, we get to Oklahoma City. I drop Brad off. I had to go look at a job because I was bidding a job in Oklahoma City. And on the way back, I dropped my car off, and I'm walking to the venue. And some guys I stopped and was like, Anthony, and I'm so fucking oblivious. And the guy's like, Anthony. I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, me? He's like, yeah. He goes, hey, my name's Steve. I listen, I love fucking Let's Talk Vinyl, man. He goes, got me hooked on wine, all this stuff. Took a picture with me. Like it was crazy how much people recognize me because of us. Like it's because of us. Like, me doing the show to be educated on wine and us bullshit about a band we love and all this stuff really kind of showcased this idea that like people, I guess the numbers are true. They're not bullshit as people listen to us. It's crazy.
Well, I'm honored to be a part of the show, obviously, and that's just awesome that people, I guess, can relate to what we're talking about. You know, it's an extension of what we do in the winery too, because our tasting room is as laid back as our conversations are. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And so that makes for I think, much better experience for a lot of people who might be intimidated about wine.
Well, and the other thing too is I think that as we get older, like we start finding different things to do, right? Like 2 years ago, I wasn't drinking wine at all. Like, I mean, I had it every so often, but now, like as I get older, I find myself more in like, I like the scene behind the wine. Like, I like the idea of like researching it. It's a different wine every time. Like, where does it come from? Who am I supporting? Where are the grapes grown? Like all these different things that are consistently like that I didn't know about until really researching all this with you. And then it's like the mixture of that and music has like formed this new bond where it's like now I'm listening to music and drinking wine, something I never thought about doing. But I think that like for a lot of us as we get older, it's a good incorporation of the both, and it's a clever way of like doing it, like drinking wine, listen to music, listen to vinyl, like it all kind of works together. And this idea of like our love for Pearl Jam, our love for wine, and our love for music has incorporated this idea that people really believe in and see.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, who doesn't want to get behind those three things?
I'm totally behind it,
And then
100%.
just listen to a couple of dipshits like us talk about whatever we're talking about. So that's
Just
all
making
right.
up, just making up shit. Um, or here, great. I know I'm listening. There's a lot of comments coming up, and but I do love Escape with Wine and Music, the new segment
Yeah.
on Let's Talk Vinyl. We'll get Brad on here to talk about that. Um, you know, I'd love to hear your story. I know you went to MSG, and I think, for me,
I didn't go to MSG.
where'd you go?
No, that's what I said at the beginning of this before we went on live on air. I didn't. I was in New York for that show, and I ended up having to fly down to Atlanta for my stepfather.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
He was
That's
in
right.
hospital. Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
so did you
So
see?
I unfortunately missed that show, and Tim got me. I had my six best friends from Atlanta were in New York with me, and thank you, Stephanie. That means a lot to us. It really does. Wow. But yeah, so I had my six best friends from high school. Um, we're all planning to be in New York at the same time for this weekend, and we had planned this trip before the Pearl Jam show was announced, actually.
Okay.
And then the Pearl Jam show was announced. I was like, this is just karma, right? My six best buddies I used to go to all my shows with in high school. Now we get to go to a Pearl Jam show together, and none of them have seen Pearl Jam before, right? So Tim Bierman was kind enough to make sure we got six tickets all together, and yeah, and unfortunately, I got a phone call from my mom, and stepdad wasn't doing great, and I just needed to get down to Atlanta and see some stuff. So missed that experience. But, this there's plenty of shows to be played. So
Sure.
I'll see him when I need to see him. So
Mm. I'm sorry that you had to go through that. But
I mean that MSG show looked, you know, obviously I saw the set list. It just looked incredible. My good friend Jeff Whitman was at the show, and he just said it was just bonkers. So,
yeah,
and by the way, I've got a story for you about Whitman.
okay.
After the MSG show, uh, he got an official invite from the band, from the management, to because could not uh, Danny could not go on tour with them for the rest for photographs and stuff,
Okay.
and Danny Clinch, and so they asked Jeff, and Jeff did like 6 shows.
No.
And was the official photographer.
Get the hell out of here.
Yes, fucking all access pass everywhere, behind the stage, the whole deal.
Have you seen any
It's
of his
crazy
work
how
yet?
the whole thing happened. He was like, he couldn't even believe it. So had to call his wife up and say, hey, by the way, I've got like another 12 days. You only packed for the weekend in New York.
Have you seen anything
But
he's taken photos of yet?
he sent me a photo from his phone on the back of his camera of a few shots, and they're ridiculous. I
Oh
mean,
man, he
you know,
he is, dude. He's so
Jeff's a great photographer. He's been a
so
photographer for
talented.
a long time. I think he studied that in college and stuff, and really just sort of recently picked it back up, like the last 6, 7 years.
Okay.
And he's got great equipment. He's got a great eye. I've got a bunch of his stuff hanging up in the tasting room. I've got stuff in my house. So yeah,
That
if
is,
anyone's
dude.
interested, I can at some point when we play a song, Anthony, I'll
Yep.
look up I think he has a site for that, and I'll send it to you. And you put the link up for him.
Okay, I can do that. Yeah, that'd be great. Well,
Yeah.
let's kind of get into that too, so we can get right into the music a little bit this evening, because I know we're gonna have a lot to talk about. With it being the 2-year anniversary of Let's Talk Vinyl, there's also another anniversary that recently came up with a 30-year anniversary of singles, which is, to me, absolutely insane that it's been 30 years since that movie came out.
Right?
But it is. It's crazy. And it's Jeff's last name is Whitman, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Jeff Whitman. There's a lot of people asking. No, it's Jeff Whitman is the person.
It's Geoff,
Correct.
not J.
Yeah.
And yeah, WHIT, man. Yeah, I'll make sure we can. You know, Anthony, and when singles came out in September of '92, I had been living in Seattle for 3 months at that point because I had moved 4 months. I had moved from Athens, Georgia, after seeing Pearl Jam play in Athens, and moved to Seattle that same year, '92. So it was very interesting living in Seattle, especially being brand new there and watching this movie and recognizing all the bars that they were going to, all the clubs, all the bands.
Yeah.
It was weird. It was almost like watching it in real life, like because that's when you went out, you're like, that's exactly what it looked like.
That is.
That's how people dress. That's how it's like it's 15.
So how old were you when that movie came out then? When you moved, you were how old?
I was 23.
23. So I was 7. Huh. Oh man, Brad just mentioned, I'm gonna see if I can pull it up here in a minute too. I'll see if I can add this. When I went to Seattle, when I first met Brad, we did the tour of Seattle and stuff, and he brought me to like the singles apartment, and we got to took a picture in front of it, like the touristy people that we did. I was much bigger at that time, so I looked like a whale in front of that place. I was almost blocking the whole damn building. You could barely see the apartment complex through behind me. But no, it was a cool little thing to see, and it was interesting because it really hasn't changed much. I mean, the colors are a little more muted than it was back then, but it was good stuff, But there's that soundtrack from that movie is something that really I think is bigger than the movie itself, right? I mean, the movie's good.
Yeah.
It's a good movie, but I mean, it's a soundtrack that really, for me, resonates with me the most. I mean, that is probably the best soundtracks, if not the best soundtracks of the '90s. And it came, it's 100%. And two songs that came off of that were absolutely just home runs were Pearl Jam's State of Love and Trust and Breath. I mean, if you think about it, those are, I mean, how many times do we get excited about seeing those? Hell, I saw them in Oklahoma City and I lost my shit.
They played both?
Yeah, was it there or was it St. Louis? I think it might have been St. Louis, but when they played those back to back, they acknowledged, so they turned around and it was Josh said something to Eddie, and Eddie, was like, hey, listen, backstage, Josh reminded me that it's the 30th anniversary of Singles. Hey, let's do this. Let's do this. And then they did Breath Right into a State of Love and Trust. But it was St. Louis. All right. Thanks, Mark. There is something interesting. I don't know if you know this. I'm on a bootleg for Pearl Jam. I sang on Breath with Eddie once. Did you know this?
I did not know that. What show was that?
This was Hampton, Virginia. Do and people are probably like, Anthony, you're full of shit, right? I'm telling you the truth. And I'm gonna show you it right now. Are you ready for this?
Yeah, I can't wait to see it.
All right, here we go. Here we go. And that is when I was the newest member of Pearl Jam, just in case you were curious. So I believe.
I always felt you wrote that song.
Thank you. All right, sit down. Enough. Okay, enough of that. So yeah, that is when, and I took a selfie with Eddie. So it was like, hey, if I'm doing this, I might as well try to get this going, and I did. It worked.
I think it was great.
Yeah. So, there was someone asked how long I waited to get center. I don't ever try to go center for Eddie Vedder because I think it's too much time. Like, it's a lot of time. I like to go right in front of Stone. That's kind of my spot. And actually, the next night during State of Loving Trust, the guy next to me got the mic, and me and him sang on State of Loving Trust. So I did 2 nights in a row, or 2 shows in a row. That's how it rolled. So,
You got to sing 2 nights in a row.
Yeah. Let me see. I think someone just asked if they can see the selfie. First, I want to show this. This is me. Oh, this is a terrible picture too. That's me and Brad in front of the Singles house, the apartment back up.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that was me in my heaviest of days, and Brad with his huge ass terrible beard.
I don't even recognize that.
Oh yeah. And then let me see if I can pull the picture of me and Eddie. So that was I love this whole idea that you can like just kind of zoom into an area on your phone and then like find the pictures from that day. Here it goes. And then here is my selfie with Eddie Vedder right after that was done. Yep. So back in 2016, crazy stuff for sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, Brad just said we both were fatter. Yeah, but that was a heavy moment for us both, Brad. Oh man, but that's a good song. When Breath for me is a top 10 Pearl Jam song. What about you?
I don't know top 10, but it's a great song. I love the energy. It's funny. I don't know if that was written with intent of being on 10 or if it was meant for that album, for the singles.
I'm pretty sure someone's going to correct us in a minute and have all the knowledge on that. So we'll get that
I'm
information.
assuming it was written during 10, one of the options for it.
Sure. I 100%. So let me ask you this. With State of Love and Trust and Breath being the 2 songs between both, which song do you prefer?
That's a great question. I really love State of Love and Trust. It's a great live song, too. So great. And you get to see him back to back.
I've seen him back to back. I think I've seen it twice back to back.
Okay. Well, I'm sure you'll break down the stats for those songs.
We will go into those stats here shortly. Let's do this. I am gonna find I'm on YouTube now. Let's get the let's find a version of State of Love and Trust we can listen to. Is there a version that you remember seeing live that you loved that you want to listen to?
No, I know I've seen it a few times. I saw it at MSG, but I can't remember what show that was.
How about this? I'll give you a couple of options and you get to pick. How's that sound?
Okay, sure. They played the Orange.
2010 Hyde Park we have as an option. We have let's see, 1994 at the Opera Theater in Boston.
Ooh,
we can do
that'd be a fun one.
We can do St. Louis 2022. I don't think that's going to sound very good. We can do Buenos Aires of 2005. Lollapalooza 2013, or I'll give you one last one, or we can do Hamilton. No, that's not one. Or we can do State of Love and Trust live at the Memorial Amphitheater in 1991.
The Mural Amphitheater.
Mm-hmm.
That's a funny one. I remember that show because the video has this long-haired dude in front of the guy holding the camera.
Okay.
And he has a weird tick, and he shakes his head like every 8 seconds or something, and it makes the video impossible to watch.
Oh my God. Brad saying the singles.
Let's do the Orpheum one.
Let's do the Orpheum one. You're saying?
Yeah.
All right. Hold on. Let me find that one back. Here we go. All right. Here is from Boston, Massachusetts, 1994, April 12th. This is State of Love and Trust. And that was State of Love and Trust by Pearl Jam.
That was a legendary show right there.
What was it? Repeat that?
I said that was a legendary show.
All right. Here's the $1 million question. Was Trey just echoing?
I can't hear myself echoing this time. I might be good.
I think we fixed it.
Did you fix it?
I think so. So there's a setting on. I'm still learning this shit. I mean, you know, it's not. I'm not nearly fucking up this show nearly as bad as I was fucking up last night's show, and I felt so bad for Rob. But tonight, hey, at least I got that. I mean, we were only 35 minutes into the show.
Perfect. Yeah, she said no echo, no echoes. That's good.
That's what it was. So it was a setting that had you tracing on the software. So we fixed it. Ah, Jesus! It only took how long to get that fixed?
God, if we only knew somebody who knew how to do this for a living.
Yeah, I don't know who that person would be. Ah, shit. Anyway, so we are now looking at, you know, so State of Love and Trust, right? I mean, and Breath really do stand out to me as two huge home run songs for Pearl Jam. I really do. Like, they're huge staples. Whether you're a big Pearl Jam fan or not, these are songs that you can you can hear, and even if you're going to a show for the first time and you're like, this is good stuff, and I just want to say that, like, that's why I'm here, Anthony.
That and her awesome artwork.
The artwork in the background is fantastic. Oh,
Thank you,
Jesus.
lover.
So let's do this. Let me get to our favorite.
Can we quickly talk about that version though?
100%.
That was the Dave Abruzzi's days. They're just such a different band.
100%.
And like not better, not worse. It's just more like, Dave A was the perfect drummer in that window of time for them.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But because I love hearing those versions. It's just, he's a very busy drummer, and like he loves to fill in a lot of the gaps. Like where Matt Cameron I think might be a little more, methodical. But I always love hearing the different versions. All the songs and how they're played. The drummer does make a big difference on how the songs sound. You know what I mean?
100%.
Yeah.
It is. It's important to think that too, and we actually learned that in the beginning of this year when you had the Fresno show where you had, Richard Suvarud and you had Dave K come on and play, and Dave Cruzen. You have Dave come out and he's playing Alive, and Dave Cruzen's version of Alive is completely different than Matt Cameron's. His drumming style, the way he keeps rhythm, it's different. It's a very much more faster paced version of the song. There's definitely much more, I feel like, urgency in the song than there is when Matt plays it. Well, when Dave A played it, it was much heavier. It was more rock and roll, very, very, very rock and roll. So it's interesting when you go back and listen to the different variations of a song and how these drummers over time changed it to their view or how they played it. It gives a different life to how the song is partaked at that moment in time.
Yes, I would agree with that.
I'm glad after 2 years you're still agreeing with me on things. They say that, the honeymoon era is the first 2 years. So, I mean, we're definitely out of the honeymoon phase. We're definitely going into these.
Now it's going to be all downhill. I'm going to be yelling at Anthony for any technical difficulties. Slam the door. I'm going to walk out in the middle of the podcast. Throw a glass of wine against the wall. It's all your fault, Anthony.
It's it. By the time we do our Halloween show at the end of the month, I'm going to have this shit down to a T, and it's going to be like, I'm just going to be like, hey, how's things going? And that's me, just, that's right. It's just going to be one of those things where we just, would be laughing at me for sure. But
I'm waiting to hear something.
Oh,
are you supposed to push a special effect there? What's gonna happen?
No, I was adjusting the levels to make sure that we were on the same levels because someone said you were too low, so I was pulling you up a little bit so they can hear your voice. And It was more or less everyone was listening for the crickets in the background.
I got you. All right.
So, State of Love and Trust and Breath, 2 huge songs for Pearl Jam, and they stand the test of time. Let's go ahead and look at the stats for these songs, and we're gonna start with Breath. I'm gonna pull up here. We're gonna go. Right here, Breath, okay? It's been played 89 times, which is surprising to me because I thought it was played less, but also shocked it hasn't been played more because, it's been around for 32 years.
Right.
Played 89 times, a closer 8 times, and I'm assuming that's going to be earlier in the catalog of Pearl Jam. But once again, we're getting these stats from livefootsteps.org, which is our go-to website for all things Pearl Jam and all stats and true factual information for Pearl Jam. If you have any questions or any kind of love for stats and nerdy statistics for Pearl Jam, I would 100% check it out, livefootsteps.org. So let's continue down the pathway of this. Some cool stats. The most played song before is Porch with 9, and then Jeremy at 7, and then State of Love and Trust at 5. So we know for certain that 5 times Breath and State of Love and Trust have been played together. Now, if we go down a little more, State of Love and Trust, so 13 times it's been played afterwards. So we know if we do our math, right? And we
18 times.
Well, I was going to do the math here. Yeah. You add 3, you bring the 5. 18 times it's been played together, which it's a low number. And then I've Got a Feeling and Even Flow are right there at 5 right afterwards. So interesting stuff for sure. It was last
Yeah.
played in St. Louis, Missouri.
Huh. And
And
then did you see the year they played it the most though? I
yeah,
mean,
let's do that.
92 for sure, but go back up to like 03, 04.
So looking like 2, 1, 2 here, 2003,
No, here
12
we go.
times.
Look at this tour.
So 2000,
03, that was like 15 times. What is that? 12 times, 12
12
shows.
times, yep. 94, 7, 93, 1, 92, 17, 91, 13, 93. So you're looking at 90,
That was it. They played. That's right. They played that at the very first show too. That was they definitely wrote that with 10 in mind, right?
100%. And it was and if you look closely, it was a closer heavily in the 90s. So one time in 1990, 4 time in 91, 3 times in 92, and I think that might be it. I don't think it's closed ever since then. This would be an interesting song now with its 22 song set list being, a closer now. It'd be kind of, I think it'd be kind of cool, but
yeah.
But yeah, no, dude. I mean, if you look at this right now, if you look at these cool song position, it looks like majority of the time it's in between that 11 and 15th spot right over here. So it's more here with it 23 times being played there.
Yeah.
And then set position, it's mostly played about 51% of the time in the main set. So, take those stats for what they are.
And 8% of the shows, so it's just under 1 out of 10 shows you're gonna catch that. So.
Oh, look at, I'm not good at math, but you definitely are. Now let's go jump right over here to State of Love and Trust. All right, here we go. First played 1991, so a year after the debut of Breath.
Been played 403 times.
403 times. It opened 3 times and a closer 4 times. I'm going to put money on them. That's early 1990s. I can't imagine that this was anything earlier than that or later than that.
What a barn burner of an opener though, right?
Oh, 100%.
Man, oh man.
That's huge. So the song before at 46 times is Black, followed by Even Flow at 43 and Daughter at 19. So I mean,
it's heavily that's all, but and then Once and then Breath. And then Jeremy and the Ghost. It's the song before. These are all like Elderly Woman. They're all the first two albums, right?
Animal, Dissident, 100% mostly earlier work, so nothing newer. The songs after Alive with 65, which I'm assuming they're being played in the same key, so that makes the most sense of going from State of Love and Trust into Alive. Black 44 times, Once 32, Porch 20. And I will say this, State of Love and Trust into Porch is absolutely my favorite lineup. If you can give me Breath, State of Love and Trust into Porch, that is a home run for me.
That he'll be wiped out after those 3.
Oh God. Well, I will say this. I mean, a lot of people were concerned about the 3 shows in a row going from Nashville to Louisville to St. Louis, and they really showed up on all 3 shows, and I think they took
it. Went 3 nights in a row, no days off.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
I couldn't do it, and I'm 37 years old. So, looking at this, now let's kind of give it stats. So it's played 10 times in this last tour. I mean, playing, 403 times? I mean, you're going to get that pretty much at 37% of the shows. So you're going to see it.
We saw that. We saw the last time we've seen them was at Ohana 21.
Yeah,
so we saw that. We saw that then.
Massachusetts, 2018.
Saw the Fenway show, saw the Daco show.
Mm-hmm. Let's go. So, wait, is this? It was a show opener for the Jazz and Heritage Festival in New Orleans as early as 2016. That's
how do you look the opener?
Wow. I did not know that. That's actually pretty awesome. So 2016 and opened the show for a festival. Nonetheless, that's pretty cool. And then let's continue rolling on down to see when the other time was a closer or an opener. All right, we're in 2007. 2006, it was played a lot, 27 times. 2005, 15. Continue rolling down. 2000, holy shit, it was played 38 times. 98, 20. It was a closer. The last time I was a closer was in Honolulu, Hawaii, in February 21st of 1998.
Oh, that was right after the Australia tour.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Oh, that's where you go see him, man. Wouldn't you love to go down to like New Zealand to see him?
New Zealand would be really cool. That's we had this conversation recently where everything else is basically like we're going early 90s, so 100%. But
Anderson Park, September 20th, I was there.
Isn't it now at the point now we've seen them so many times so it's like we almost got to find a destination if like that's the cool thing. Like you got like if you're gonna see him, like you see him locally, but if you're gonna go, so you're like all right, now I got to find out where like the next destination for to see them at is like where we're gonna go see them. Like what's the next place to go see them at? And like I really think that they should start looking into the shows they haven't played, like where they haven't played yet, and really investigate in doing that. Like I'd love to see him in Alaska. I really do want to see him in New Hampshire. I mean, like let's go to places they've never played before, and let's make it a vacation out of it.
New Hampshire? Is there a petition to have Pearl Jam play New Hampshire?
Oh, Jesus Christ. It has been for how many years now?
Can't they just go to Boston? How far is that? That's not far, right?
I mean, you can walk probably. I mean, it's not that close. I mean, and the thing is, like New Hampshire, when I lived in Maine, you literally drive through New Hampshire, you close your eyes and you're out of there. There is nothing to it. I mean, it's such a small place. Brad saying Iceland, Shannon saying Scotland, Michelle saying Cincinnati, Mark saying Puerto Rico. Oh man, it's Matt saying Down Under. There's a lot. People are giving the suggestions for sure. It's good stuff.
I think Australia would be a great place to see him, and I think New Zealand would just be just a wicked place to see him. That'd be so awesome. Didn't they play? Remember when they did that Japanese tour? And didn't they do like Indonesia or something like that on that tour?
Yeah, they
like that was the Vitology tour, I think.
And they played Japan, right?
I thought so. Yeah, like 95 maybe.
Guess
or
what?
98.
I'm gonna check. Hold on a second. Go to livefootsteps.org and type into my keyboard Japan. Hold on a second. Hey, what year were you thinking this was?
I thought it was either 95 or 98.
95. Let's see. 1995.
You remember, like, I thought they were like sort of work like they played Thailand.
Yeah. So they played Sendai, Japan, Tokyo, Japan, Osaka, Japan, and they played Taipei, Taiwan. Here,
Taiwan.
Yeah, here we go. So you can see right here. They went from
they played
Missoula,
Montana.
Montana.
They played Thailand. They played Singapore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, I mean, this was. Yeah. Wow. That would have been some really cool shows to see. I don't know if they'd ever do that again, though.
Yeah. I mean, the only reason they would ever do that is if they all wanted just to go on vacation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Paid vacation? Yeah, 100%.
I mean, kind of like, we'll play a show. We'll go 5 days. We'll tour around. We'll go play another show 5 days later. But those in-between days, they get for themselves and their families and stuff.
Yeah, because it shows they got there February 18th. They had the 19th off. They had the 22nd and 23rd off. They had like the 25th off. So, I mean, they had days off in between. And then before they went to Australia, they were up there for about 3 days. So, I mean, they had, like a week worth of days to look around and do things. And Brad reminds us that the unreleased Pearl Jam movie from 1995 was mostly filmed in Asia. So, definitely crazy.
Brad, why haven't they released that?
That's a great question. Brad, can you do me a favor and give Eddie a call real quick and just ask him, and then just get us back that information?
The better question is who was like behind the filming and stuff? Did they have like a person like a Danny Clinch that was doing that, or was it just like all film crew shit?
So if you look back at Pearl Jam 20 and we're looking at the film that was utilized from the 95 film that was in it, it all kind of looked like they were filming it themselves at that point.
It was all home movie shit.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So, No, it's interesting, and it's crazy because I believe isn't that film leaked online? I think it's on YouTube now. I think you can actually like watch the 1995. Let me see real quick. I'm not going to show it, but let me see. Pearl Jam 1995.
How's your Cabernet, by the way?
This is good. I will say this. I am really enjoying this. It's rich. It's got a good texture to it. It's not as acidic in the mouth. It's sitting well on my tongue. It's not extremely over the top. It's a real good, just relaxing, it's a good wine.
Good. Yeah. That was a good vintage for Washington.
Oh.
2018. So, and they have a good winemaking program at St. Michelle. So
nice.
Good vintage. Should be a good bottle of wine. What did you pay for that? You remember?
Who paid for that?
How much?
I paid for this. I think so. I was right at $90 with both bottles of wine, so probably about the same. So about $40. So that was 50 and 40. Yeah, about that. $40. Am I overpaying for wine? Am I getting taken advantage of?
Where are you buying these wines at?
I don't know if I should say it on the air because actually when I talked to the guy, I said I was going to give him good props, but now I feel like I'm overpaying for wine right now the way you're looking at me.
I feel like you're buying them at restaurant prices.
I listen.
We'll talk off air. We'll go off. We'll take it offline. It's fine.
Okay. We're gonna have to figure that out. It sucks. You got me all excited when you said you were coming to St. Louis in 2 weeks. I was totally gonna just take off and just head out to the out that way, but I see how it is. No, the Pearl Jam. It's called Pearl Jam Australian Tour 1995 official film. It is up on YouTube. It's 2 hours and 17 minutes long. So unfortunately, we don't have that much time on the show to utilize it. I am not a big spender. I just like to, when I'm on the show, I like to try to impress Trey with my wine knowledge. Because if I buy a $12 bottle of wine that is a chocolate bourbon barreled bottle of wine, I will get ripped apart. Because if you go back to our first episode ever, and I'm like, hey, look what I bought. And Trey was like, what are you fucking doing?
That was a great beginning to our program, too. It really shows how much you've grown.
Oh, yeah. Grown and slimmed, right?
Grown and shrunk.
That's right. This comment is a really good comment, and it makes me think, because I'm going to ask, this is a question I have for you with the tour ending and what you think for the future for them. Mark Kirby says, maybe we can have Pearl Jam cruise. Just get on a cruise liner, enjoy the show. Do you think?
It's funny. There is, My Morning Jacket has they're called I think it's called the Big Weekend.
One Big Holiday.
It's Big Holiday, right? One Big Holiday, whatever, down in Mexico, and I could totally see Pearl Jam doing something like that. You know what I mean? I mean, in a way, I mean, I can see him doing it. I could also then see all the haters coming out and, calling him hypocrites. And because that One Big Holiday, those tickets are fucking expensive.
Well,
it's like you're spending a lot of money, not just for the concert ticket. And then you got to get down there. It doesn't include airfare.
Yeah, but hold on a second. I'm a big My Morning Jacket fan, so I'm going to defend him a little bit on this one. You're going to see My Morning Jacket roughly about 5 times in that weekend. And you're going to see different variations. They're going to play with different bands. There's going to be a lot of surprises. You see multiple bands. So you're paying for a lot more than just a regular festival. So your $325 ticket for 4 days in an all-exclusive hotel, right? Now, if you get like the nicer hotel than the other one, you're paying probably $800 a ticket. But you're getting a hotel and a ticket for $800. Then you got to fly down. So let's say you're in it for $1,200. I personally have spent more on one Pearl Jam show going to a hotel.
I heard different pricing from my friend Matt Gobel. He must have bought like whatever the deluxe package was, because
God, dude,
when I saw the numbers, I'm like, it was eye popping.
Oh no, there is like a VIP package where you can get like side stage, like a concierge and all that stuff, and it's like $4,000 a ticket. No, if you're just going to enjoy and you want the hotel included in the package, you're spending anywhere between like the $800 to $950 range is what I saw last time.
Okay, that's not terrible.
No, but I mean, really, but think about this much, right? As a band, right? We all know that there's certain bands you're going to travel to see, right? Pearl Jam is 100% one of them. It's a proven fact. if they were to get residency, I think Ohana was Eddie's attempt at this, and it just didn't work because he picked the wrong location. Because I personally, I've said it, and I'm going to continue at it, especially after the festival went out these last weekend. I think we just saw the last Ohana. If they find the right location to do a yearly or bi-yearly event where they can do 5 nights of Pearl Jam, Eddie Vedder and the Earthlings, Painted Shields, a Jeff Ament project, a Mike McCready project with like Brandy Carlisle, and you have Matt Cameron doing something with his son, and you have all these different variations where they can then unleash their other music abilities or music passions that they don't really get to tap into, but they can have the audience there. Because you know as well as I do, when a lot of these artists tour solo, minus Eddie Vedder, they're playing in smaller arenas. They're not playing in these massive arenas.
Yeah.
Eddie's in a mid-size, but if you get them there where you're going to do like Pearl Jam 20, where you can have the audience there already and then you can play around with it, you're going to have a bigger audience, a more fun thing, and people are going to pay top dollar for that. You know,
And then do it in Hawaii.
Yeah, Brad. Yeah, no, Joseph Arthur. It's
Brad.
Oh man, if you
They're
saw
so
his
good, though.
if you saw his latest video, he has got that tinfoil hat on for
Oh,
sure.
he's off the deep end.
Yeah,
Well, I'll have a conversation with you about that later. I can't
Okay.
remember if I told you about my vinyl project I did with him.
Kind of, but we didn't get to a resolution. We'll talk about it later. But I will say this. I think that we're looking at that happening sooner rather than later with them having these shows. I think, listen, Pearl Jam played a lot of shows, and it still didn't feel like enough. I would love to see them. I'd rather them do like they did a couple years ago where they jumped around they played a couple days in a couple different places, and you just toured to see them. I don't know, man. It's interesting. I think we're coming to that like Rolling Stones era with Pearl Jam where they're bigger and better than they've ever been, but they're going to be able to play less songs and encapsulate more people and do less shows. I think that's where we're at, and I'm cool with it. Like, I get it. I mean, like, you have kids, you have family, you have another part of your life you have to tap into. Like, do that. And I think we've entered that Pearl Jam phase.
Yeah, I do not doubt that. I feel like that too. I'm comfortable with it. I can tell you that if the same circumstances happen with we really missed more than just, I missed the MSG show, but Holly and I were supposed to go to Vegas, and between the price of hotels and airfare to get down there that weekend and the fact that they ended up canceling the show, thank God they did, because had I bought hotel and airfare to get down there, it was going to be so much money. It was ridiculous. But like that show and then MSG, like, take me back 10 years, and if those circumstances happened, I would not have handled it as well. Like it would have been crushed. And it was still disappointed to see them, but I've come to the realization, like, I've seen them a lot of times, and I know I'll see them more, and they'll always be special when I see them and stuff, but I don't feel the need to have to go see them, 20 times in a year. If it's 3 times a year on a good tour, and we've got the time to go do it, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. I think, I gave up going to Denver and I gave up going to Nashville. And I was like, you know what? I'm content with St. Louis and Oklahoma City. I did LA in the beginning of the year. And I was like, I think that's a good number. Did I want to really get to 50 shows this year? That was a big goal of mine. I did. I'm only 2 away from it now. And I'm like, all right, well, I'll get there at some point. And, I think that's more of like an internal like number that I just want to be proud of, when realistically it doesn't matter. But,
Yeah.
Realistically, like, it's crazy because as I was talking to my neighbor about this today, and he was asking when I was doing this evening, I'm like, oh, I'm doing my show. And he's like, wait, you sit in the basement and drink wine and talk about a band? I'm like, yeah, talk about Pearl Jam. He's like, how many times can you talk about the same fucking song? I'm like, well, it's bigger than that. And then when he was asking me about like St. Louis and Oklahoma City, I'm like, the stories I was telling him was like, yeah, I did this event before the show with these amazing people from Touring Fan, that I got these girls that worked their ass off, and we raised all this money and all this stuff. And I kept talking, bragging about that. And then I'm like, then yeah, I'm like my really good friend from Canada, and and then we were able to like he was able to come and finally meet my family, even though he calls me every day, and my family know him by name, but like they've never fucking met him. They got to meet him, and then we drove down to Oklahoma City, and I was listening to Canadian music and all this fucking crazy shit, and then I'm like, yeah, and then it was really cool, and then telling him all these stories, and he's like, oh, well, how was the concert? I'm like, oh. Yeah, I saw Pearl Jam. I was GA for the first show, and the second show I had some great seats side stage, and um, I'm very worried if I told Brad this too, because I don't know if I've told him I dance a lot during a show. Like I don't sit still. Like I really do dance a lot, and I was like, either Brad's gonna be okay with this, or he's never gonna go to a show with me ever again. And he says he's okay with it, but like it might have been a tad embarrassing as I'm dancing.
That's what he told you.
Yeah,
He said that.
he did say that.
If he does like the slow, when they do the slow step away, where they're like, like you don't realize how he's actually moving away from you as you're dancing or whatever you're doing. Yeah, I mean, look, I play a lot of air guitar, so you have to be comfortable standing next to me.
Yeah.
At a show.
Well, the interesting part was me and Brad slow dance. I think I was there in black in St. Louis, and it was funny. The guy fucking behind us, who like I wasn't sitting still, he kind of looked at us like, "The fuck is wrong with these people?" Because it was me, Brad, and JJB on the GA floor, and I don't sit still. But it was a good time, and that's what it's all about. And to be honest with you, like the next show that I'm most excited about is when I'm able to go to a show with you to like, just like for us, like we've been talking about this for 2 years. We've been talking about this band and what it means to us, and like what the music means to us. And there's a moment in the shows when like the music hits, right? And it's a song either we love or we haven't heard in a long time, and like our emotions come out at that moment. When you're at a Pearl Jam show, there's going to be someone that is at that show for the first time. This is the first experience seeing Pearl Jam, and you're going to see their face, and you're going to see them light up as they're seeing that band on stage. And there's a person that this is like their 10th show because they can't afford to see him that much. The 10th is a huge number for them. And then there's a person like us or the people that are bigger than us that have seen him hundreds of times. But we all know that we have these emotions that come out during the songs that like Breath comes on, and it's like, oh man, I've been waiting for this fucking song. This is the song I've been waiting for. And you get excited. Then you see another person get excited for it, and you realize like that these 2 years you've been holding on to these tickets, or this like balled up emotion that you've had inside your pit of your belly for a long time, you can let it out for those 3 or 4 minutes that song's out, but you're not doing it alone. You're doing it with a bunch of people. And like, man, that's what this is all about. And like I've tried explaining this to people, like the music and the ability to be around people that are like-minded, that understand what you're going through and understand that moment in time for you, and understand like you can talk to those people and get that moment out together. That's what it's all about. Man, I can hear a live 100 more times and like still be good with it. Even Flow, like I don't understand why people run to the bathroom for it. That song still has moments for me because it's like you can see it means something to different people in different ways. And that to me is what this band's about. And that to me is why 32 years later, there's people doing shit for this band. There's people doing podcasts. There's people doing shows. There's people touring. There's people doing nonprofits for it. There's all these things. It's because this band makes us feel things that other things can't make us feel that way.
It's an amazing community. It really is. Yeah. Met some great people.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
who would have thought
it? Next time bring your glow in the dark hula hoop. Always a crowd pleaser.
She's talking to you, by the way, not me.
I knew it. I can't wait. I'm hoping what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do burlesque dancing. If Holly goes to a show and I'm there, I'm gonna follow her pathway, and I'm just gonna go right into it. And we'll see how that goes, because I sure as hell want in the shape.
You can make money on that.
I 100% doubt it. 100% doubt it. The only money I'd be making is people throwing money to put my clothes back on, not take it off. So, I mean, hell, if it makes me money, I'll do it.
There's freaks out there. I'm telling you, Anthony. They want to see you dance.
No, I'm good. So we are at 2 years, and we've talked through a lot of songs. I actually made a list the other day of all the songs we've talked about, and man, we've not really even tapped the shit like of things we haven't talked about. Oh my god. It, Holly says, I have a rhinestone rip away bra with your name on it, Anthony. Yeah, Jesus Christ. Oh my God. Oh, God almighty.
That was my favorite one, not that one.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's right. That's for you guys. Leave that for you all. We have a Halloween special show at the end of the month where we're doing talking about the song Ghost and Bugs. Two completely obscure songs in the Pearl Jam catalog. Ghost, not so much, but I feel it's still an obscure song, and Bugs definitely an obscure song. We're going to be posting some stuff as it leads up to it, so definitely get ready to check that out. Man, I know I say this all the time, but Trey, I can't thank you enough for doing this show, man. I just love fucking talking to you.
No, I love talking to you too. And by the way, we didn't really talk about it, but first of all, Tony Bounds' anniversary is this weekend. So happy anniversary to Tony and his wife. He would be on here, but he's traveling right now, so he's gonna watch this after the fact. But you've had plenty of people walk up to you and talk about the show, which is great. And I've definitely had folks, come up to me and say the same thing. And I feel the same way about this show as I do my winery. It's just I'm shocked that people even paid attention, and but they do and they like it, I guess. So that's what's important. And we have our own little mini community on here, a little mini Pearl Jam community on here that feel like family sometimes too. So we really appreciate everyone who tunes in and listens to these two yahoos talk to each other about wine and Pearl Jam and shit. So
100%.
Hey, by the way, I've got our vinyl club for the winery. My next 3 releases are going to be they are all Pearl Jam related.
Really?
And so I'm really excited to get the next one out, which is actually I need to get my email out on Monday next week. Just reminded me, but yeah, very excited.
Let me ask you a question. Do you mind if I do a shameless plug for my kid real quick?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so he's having some troubles. So my son, if you don't know, runs a nonprofit called Keeper for a Cure, and we just moved to Missouri. I live in Missouri. Yeah, I live in Missouri, and he brought his nonprofit here, and he's having a little difficulty this year raising money for his campaign. So if you are interested, he's raising money this year. If you go to keeperforacure.com, you go to campaign, and you scroll on down to his 2022 campaign, you can click this link, and it takes you to where he's raising money for. He's actually raising money for a local hospital that is giving an opportunity for women that have stage 4 cancer and don't have a cure in sight. It's giving them an opportunity to go to a retreat in Missouri with their family, where it's being monitored by doctors, and it gives them the opportunity to have some memories and some lasting moments for the family to have before they pass. But they also have doctors and nurses on staff that if something goes awry during their time there, they can take care of it so they can have at least enjoyable moments. They have like photographers there, meditation, all these different things. So Brady handpicked this charity, and this year he's raising money for it. So you can go down there, you can donate $1, a penny, whatever you want to raise. I mean, I'd love to see him meet his goal this year. He's been doing it for 4 years now, and it's meaningful to him. He's just having a little bit of a hard time this year raising money as we're new to the area. But if you can do that, I'd appreciate it. Just go to keeperforacure.com and check that out, and then go to campaign, and you'll be able to read more about him and his mission and all that fun stuff. So
put that link in the comment section if you can.
Hey,
so
Michelle,
anyone who's going to watch this again, and then I want you to text that to me as well so I can share that.
Sure, I really appreciate that, Trey. Michelle, do me a favor, because I know you're watching. Can you just put the link to that in the comments? I'd really appreciate it. Which also, P.S., I'm going to put this out here because I know Michelle's watching and she doesn't watch some of the other shows. So Michelle, who has been with Touring Fan Live now for over a year, this girl, she's been to my house. We saw Jack White together. We went to St. Louis. She's helping me work on all these different things. And I'm going to tell you something. She is one of the most badass women out there when it comes to like hands on the ground, raising money, like helping behind the scenes. Like I'm gonna tell you something, Touring Fan Live doesn't happen without her. And Let's Talk Vinyl, like the idea that like the promotion of it and all that stuff, she's a huge, huge, huge help. And I just want a big shout out to Michelle because she needs it. So I adore her tremendously. She's like a sister to me, and she needs that. So thank you, Michelle, for that. And then in the same sentence, Michelle, if you can post that link in the comments, I'd really appreciate that. Thank you so much.
That's awesome. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thanks for bringing that up too, buddy.
No, definitely. So yeah, she'll post that.
How are things with soccer going with him? Is he just kicking ass?
Oh, dude, it is. So we are officially basically 5 days a week soccer. He gets home from school at like 2:30. He 3:30. I'm sorry. He gets home. He does his homework, and he's in a car ride to the soccer fields, and he is training from 4:45 to 7:30, Monday through Friday. On the weekends, he's either playing with his own age group, which is like, and they play local tournaments, or like he was in Colorado a couple weeks ago playing up 2 years. He's played against U15s, he's played against U14s, he's playing all over the field, and they are utilizing him tremendously. He is really standing out. There's actually a photo of him. Let me show you this photo. I don't know if you saw this real quick.
I thought he was solely a goalie. Is he? They have him in different positions.
No, he's only in goalkeeper. That's his only position.
Oh,
to
okay.
play.
I heard you wrong. I thought you said they have him playing all over the place.
So what I mean,
thought you meant
yeah,
like
so,
on the field.
well, what they're doing is, so this academy, this pro academy they have him in, they actually will put him on. They have different teams for different age groups, and so what they'll do is they'll have him play up, they'll have him play down, they'll have him play like different ages and stuff. But dude, you want to see? This is crazy. So a couple of weeks ago, he played in like this place in St. Louis in the middle of nowhere, and this is one of his saves.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a great photo. Who took that picture?
Some schmuck named Anthony.
Oh, good capture. That's awesome.
Yeah, so no, he's a special kid. I mean, between him doing that, Charlotte's now doing School of Rock, playing music and doing all that stuff, and rock climbing, and I mean, I'm real lucky with the kids I have, just like you. I saw the pictures the other day of your daughters and your wife getting pictures done, and I mean,
oh yeah, oh my gosh, we already saw some previews of those photos, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Like last night those pictures were taken last night. That was the most beautiful sunset, and we were at one of our vineyards that we work with, and we can't wait to see everything. It was great. So we were just missing my oldest daughter, who's still working over in the Olympic National Park right now. So we'll get her back soon. So
that's awesome. That's awesome. And
we're finishing. We're sitting here talking about wine and stuff. We didn't really talk about wine this much tonight.
No, and we should probably give props to both of these wines. I mean, yours is new. So let me ask you this question real quick. Your wine that's about to come out, so the new one that you're tasting tonight, when is it available to purchase now?
No, it's already sold out.
Of course it is.
This wine we only made, this vintage was 100% Wine Club. And so our 12-pack Wine Club members got the 19 vintage of what we're drinking tonight. The 20 vintage, which we'll release next year, we made a little more of. Starting this year in 22, it's a wine that we should be making a couple hundred cases of. Right now it's 25 cases. We made 1 barrel of this one.
Wow.
Yeah. But it's an incredible vineyard site. It's just going to be working with this vineyard site long term is very exciting. This is a vineyard that'll be on the cover of Wine Spectator within the year. I can guarantee you.
And I'm assuming that's like the Rolling Stones of wine.
Yeah, it's like Rolling Stone magazine. That's probably not a fair comparison because Rolling Stone hasn't been, a great music magazine in a while. But anyway, it's the most well-read wine magazine out there. And this vineyard site, that vineyard site's Blue Mountain right there. That's right here in Walla Walla.
Okay. Well, I will tell you this. We all know we love hearing Trey's voice and everything he does, and he's a great human being. Check out sleight-of-hand-cellars.com. And so it's shouthsellers.com. And when you go there, hit shop, and shop will take you to this great page. And there's a couple of different bottles there, and some of my favorites. And all of the bottles that are on here, well, guess what? They've been on the show. Well, I haven't had the psychedelic, but there's a lot of great bottles on here. You can get the Enchantress, which has been on here. You get the Magician 2021 version. You get a lot of the Illusionist, which is one of my favorites. Spellbinder, Conjurer. The psychedelic sounds really good. Oh, 27 light years. I thought that was sold out. Son of a bitch. Force of Nature. Oh, wait a minute. Force of Nature.
Force of Nature and light years.
Those are two good bottles of wine right there. 2017 light years and 2017 Force of Nature on sleight-of-hand-sellers.com. So definitely give that out. There is a question coming up for you, Trey. I'm going to post that here in just a second. Wine question for Trey. What do you age the wine in, and how do you know how long to age the wine?
That's a great question. It's so many variabilities to that, but I'm going to give you a very general answer. And we'll talk about red wines. I'm just going to limit this to red wine because white wines, there's so many different choices. Most red wine is aged in oak barrels. They can be French or American. French oak and American oak taste very different from each other. American oak is very aggressive and very prominent, where a French oak is a little more elegant and more background note. And as far as how long you age the wine in oak, it really depends on the grape. It depends on the style of wine you're trying to make. It depends on where it's grown, vineyards, all that good stuff too. For us, we're anywhere from 11 months to about 22 months in barrel before the wine then gets bottled. And then it'll stay in bottle for a year before we actually release that wine for sale. And that's because you want the wine to just kind of like come together. You know, it's truly is a living thing. I mean, it changes over the course of its life. And so the way a wine tastes in barrel versus a day after you bottle, it's very different. And so that wine needs time to kind of come around, and it's like an unruly teenager, but yeah.
Lori says the
That's a great
Magician
question.
is my fave. And then Mark says,
That's
wow,
our
3 years before market.
Yeah. And and you'll spend, and some of the wines are, like for instance, right now we're selling our 2019 Reserve Cabernet. And I released that wine in March of this year, 2022. So it's 2.5 years essentially from when we picked the grapes until when we actually released the wine for the general public, I guess. So, but those wines will age for 20, 25 years.
Wow.
And so, yes, it took us 3 years to get to market, but those wines have a long, long life ahead of them. And it just depends on how you like to drink them. And if you have a proper place to store them, there's so many variabilities,
The biggest question I have for you, Trey, after talking about storage is how big is your wine cellar? Is it bigger than your house? I mean, how many stairs do you go down to get into your wine cellar?
You talking about at my house?
Yeah, like how big is your elevator?
Well, I had to take the tram up the back deck. And when we're on the tram, that takes me to my wine cellar.
Makes sense.
And then we get on the elevator and it goes down into the subterranean. Right? Brad. No, Brad, I don't use the t-shirts. I use the socks.
Oh God, Jesus, the socks. First of all, P.S. I own way too many Pearl Jam socks. I think the last time when me and Brett walked out, the guy's like, I got 5 pairs of Pearl Jam socks left, and I bought all 5 pairs. I have way too many pairs of socks, but they are the most
Yeah.
comfortable socks,
Most of my
man.
Pearl Jam socks have holes in them. I need to load up on some new ones. They were working with a really good sock company for a while there, though. Really thick white ones with like red and yellow bands. Remember those?
Yes, yes.
Those are really good socks.
They were really good socks. It was good.
Listen, they're one step away from underwear. All right,
I
that's
get
what the fans have really been asking for.
well, we did flip flops. We had the Pearl Jam flip flops, and we know, and all I said with the only with the right passcode with the seller keeper. Jesus, I know you're loaded, Trey. I didn't realize you were that loaded. I know you have a seller keeper. Jesus.
We have in our house. We walk down our stairs into our basement, and this house came with a built-in wine cellar that was maybe 240 bottles, and it was professionally done, very nice. It had these beautiful wood racks and everything, but it was the day I moved in, it was already too small for just what it had. So when my stepdad came to visit, this is 5 or 6 years ago, um, he basically knocked a hole through one of the walls and extended it out for more storage space. So I can probably fit about 1,000 bottles in the basement. It's not full, but I could fit that in there.
Nice. Now, let me ask you this. Besides the bottles of wine that you make, which are clearly great bottles of wine, and honestly, I'm not saying this to promote you any more than we need to. We've been doing this for 2 years. I'm pretty honest with you. I do enjoyed every bottle of wine you sent over. Some more than others. I mean, but is there a bottle of wine out there that people can go to the store right now that's pretty common? And if they're like, hey, you know what, I want to give this a whirl. Like, what bottle of wine do you love that the beginner wine drinker can go purchase that they're going to be like, hey, this is good stuff?
I mean, a beginner wine drinker, I would probably send them to like Germany. Like, go to your German wine section and find a killer bottle of Riesling from like a really good producer. Spend $30. Don't spend $12. Spend $30 on a great bottle of Riesling. And don't go to your grocery store. Go to a wine shop. Ask the wine buyer. Usually the guys in the nice wine shops. There's 2 or 3, buyers in there that know their shit. And say, hey, give me a great bottle of Riesling. It doesn't. If you like it sweet, they're gonna have a great sweet. If you want it bone dry, they're gonna have that for you. But you don't have to spend an arm and a leg to have a world-class bottle of Riesling,
Okay.
which both Holly and I love Riesling.
So
We don't drink
Riesling's your
enough of it,
go-to.
actually. We really don't. We don't drink enough of it at home. We really don't. We should.
We don't
I'll
drink
work on
enough
that.
of it. I brush my teeth in Riesling, right?
That's a pretty delicious way to brush your teeth.
I will say this: I prefer red wine. Red wine's my go-to. I do
Yeah.
love a red wine.
Yeah.
So that has been my go-to, and it kind of had even before I really got into this show. Like when I would get a bottle of wine, I always go to red wine. But I do.
You would be like, was this aged in bourbon barrel? That's what
Oh,
I'm looking
Jesus.
for.
If chocolate wasn't involved in the process of burning the barrel with golden flakes, then I have no interest in this cheap $12 bottle of wine from your establishment. Thank you, Kroger.
It's it's like Goldschlager.
Oh God, yeah, no, it was bad. But I've learned my lesson, and it's interesting because I don't shop at grocery stores anymore. I do go to my local winery. Now I've also learned that they are taking
Wine
advantage of
shop,
me.
not winery, wine shop.
Yeah, wine shop. There is a winery here that I went to, but they try things that I am not a fan of. Like they do like apple wine or like cherry wine or like all these like it's a very gimmick driven wine base that just doesn't fulfill my palate. And I've become a snob because I hang out with people that, can educate me enough that I'm able to be a snob, and that's why I like what I like. Like, I'm probably going to go buy, well, I don't know if I'll buy it from the same place, but I'm probably going to go buy another couple bottles of this wine because this is really good.
And affordable.
Yeah, no. Not from where I'm
Don't be
getting
going
it
back
from.
to that wine shop, Anthony. You need to like take me on a Zoom tour through there so I can see what they're charging for these bottles because
Yeah,
it's
I will totally, next time I go, I'll text you and see if you're available. I'll Zoom you as I walk through, but I told you, I think I told you the story the first time I went there. Like, I went in there, I shook the guy's hand, and Julie just said, just joining in, went to Napa in August. Well, Julie, next time you need to go to Walla Walla, Washington. You need to
Walla Walla.
go ask for Trey Bush at Sleight of Hand Cellars and say, hey, Trey, I'm listening. There we go. Oh, Matt says, join Trey's wine club, AK. I'm in the private wine club. It's the one where Trey tells me what to buy. Um, so what's a cool thing about living in Kansas City is also the most dangerous thing about living in Kansas City is there's so many options to purchase wine. We're in Virginia. Trey literally called the place that I was getting my wine from and was like, hey, listen, we're doing a podcast. This is what he needs. And they literally would get me the bottles of wine ready for me. So I knew what I was getting, and it was really close. It was great. The problem with Kansas City is there's so many options. And my local wine shop that I went to that I thought I was building a relationship with, which I guess the guy didn't care to, he's like, oh, you don't want this wine. Let me show you where the good wine is. And he'd walk you to the
Who
back
said that
room.
to you?
The guy did. He's like, yeah, you if you're going on a show about if you're on a podcast about wine, then you really want to get the good stuff. Come back here. And he brings me to this back room where I thought I was going to get, murdered in. And he opens the door and it's like, oh, all this stuff. And it's like all this vintage stuff. And it's like, he's even like, dude, I don't know if I told you this. He picks a bottle of wine. He goes, the dust means it's vintage, and puts it back down. And I'm like,
Not blow the dust off.
I said, he picked up the bottle of wine. He went, the dust means it's vintage. Puts the shit down, and then like he's like, he's like, and I try my best to believe. I want to build relationships with people. That's the biggest problem I've had with Kansas City is like you don't know people, you don't have friends, you're still trying to meet people. You're trying to build relationships, right? Well, I guess this guy just wants my money because. Yeah, I mean, after I told you, like I was telling Trey before the show, they had a bottle of Sleight of Hand Cellars 2018 The Chantress, and I'm like, oh, dude, you're never gonna believe this. I found a bottle of your wine. He's like, how much you paid? I told him how much I paid, and he's like, Anthony, you paid way too much for that bottle of wine. I'm like, son of a bitch.
Wah, wah.
Yeah, no. The bottle of wine that I got, this one right here, the intrinsic, I paid about $50 for it. Now, looking up online, this is about a $35 to $40 bottle of wine from base what I can see online.
Oh, is that
And
right? Okay, all right.
yeah, so I mean, I didn't pay terribly too much, but I will tell you this bottle of wine, Don, is 100% worth the money. I would highly recommend getting this bottle of wine. The one big thing I've learned about
18 was a good vintage for Washington.
Yep.
And yeah, so
this is, I will say, this bottle of wine. There's one thing about red wine. Sometimes it can be acidic, and it leaves a kind of acidic taste in your mouth, depending on how you what kind of bottle of wine you get. This doesn't have it. This bottle of wine is fantastic, and this would be great. Like, I really want a steak right now. Like, I'm almost. Oh, Jesus, Christmas tree. Don just said $19.99 at Total on Tettle Wine. What the living fuck? Are you? Oh,
I told you, man, that was such a Chateau St. Michelle wine.
I totally fucked up.
They're making deals, man. They're making deals.
Oh, dude. Well, if you, I'm gonna have to go to TotalWines.com and get 2 bottles for the next time. But $17.99 if you buy 6. Don, I'm, well, I am just really just fucking it up with this one. I mean, but thank you, Don.
Like wine, you can go to wine.com and get that for $18.99.
Oh, or you can go to Amazon and get it for $12.99 based off the research we're just finding out.
Yeah. Yeah, Total Wine. Look, here's the thing. It's wine. It's whatever the commodity is. you're not limited to. There are a lot of purchases that are just people feel more comfortable just buying them in person. You buy your groceries, you go to a grocery store. You're not rarely you buying groceries online to have shipped in. Now we order our groceries online and go pick them up, but it's our still from a local grocery store. You know what I mean? Um, Wine is one of those things that most people feel comfortable just buying because they're buying it for that night or they're buying it for that weekend. They're not buying that wine to lay down for 5 years, right? So over 90% of wine purchased even in a nice wine shop is consumed in 24 hours.
Mm.
So very little wine is actually purchased with the forethought of I'm buying this to lay it down. And that's where online shopping comes in handy, or wine clubs come in handy. Because with a wine club, you can get multiple bottles of the same wine, or it might be two different wines, but you're getting multiple bottles, and you can have one immediately, and then you can lay the rest of them down for 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, whatever whatever you want to do. But that's really the only way to like try to experience wine over time, stuff like that. Yes, well, Michelle, good as you should be.
Let me ask you this. For someone who's just now getting into the wine industry, where they're buying the wine, what is an appropriate amount of wine you should have in your home at all times? How many bottles? What's a good number?
Well, I don't think there's any number.
I'm going to say 6.
6 is the number.
6 is the number.
It just depends on, and look, if you're keeping the wine in your house and they're just sitting in your living room next to the, television or something, I don't know. But if you have a proper wine cellar, right, you can store wine at a proper temperature. Okay, at that point you'd be collecting wine. If you just have wine for the next 2 weeks, it doesn't matter where you keep them and whether it's 6 bottles or 2 bottles. I mean, I guess it depends on how much wine you drink, Anthony.
I agree. Mark says I have 0 bottles of wine, but I don't drink. So, well, Mark, first of all, this is the show for you to be watching if you don't drink. This is the perfect way as we give you our taste buds of what we're tasting so you can put it into your imagination. First of all, Mark Kirby has been a big fan of the show for 2 years. He's been watching since day one. I got to meet Mark in St. Louis. God, he's such a great guy. But it was cool to meet him in person. But yeah, no, super awesome, super supporter of the show. So thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
I'm gonna end this show on possibly one of the greatest answers. And well, Mark says I'm learning tons. Let's do this. Let's cue the background music, right? Get that going. And the greatest quote of the evening, or the greatest answer of the evening, comes from your lover, as you like to say, Trey. The answer to the question of how many bottles of wine you need to have, enough to doomsday prep if necessary. Trey, any final words?
No, what she said.
All right, listen, once again, check out sleight-of-hand-cellars.com so you can buy all your wine needs. If you have a local wine store, go there and say, hey, we want Sleight of Hand Cellars wine here. Push it.
Or buy it online. I can ship it to you.
Buy it online, have it shipped to your house. It'd be in a beautiful package. It's all good stuff. Check it out. If you're listening to the show on a podcast, subscribe, like. That's how we get our views and our tunes in, and we appreciate it so much. Until next time, that's Trey Bush of Sleight of Hand Cellars, Pearl Jam aficionate. Oh, I don't even know how this. I'm saying all fucked up words here. I'll give you some applause. There you go. Trey Bush, the hottest winemaker in the world. That's his official title now. Until next time, I'm Anthony Cruz. That's Trey Bush. Thank you for tuning in to Let's Talk Vinyl.